Awesome.
Technically we are, so Facebook's always a little tiny bit delayed.
Yeah.
Hi, gang. We are going live. We'll see if we're live. You're probably seeing us before we see us. There we go. We are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. This is episode 7 of the Practical Magic Show. I'm here with Juliet Trnka, who I couldn't be more excited to spend time with today, because we are talking about how to create the impossible through the impossible. And there really is no one better that I have met to be here sharing this with us. So Juliet is a shamanic coach, a coyote, a wild woman, a deeply inspiring person to me, even in the very short time that we've known each other. And what Juliet, I think you embody so powerfully for me is my experience of you is that you're the physical manifestation of the spiritual meets material and the playfulness that exists between them. And even just before we went live, you mentioned that you were so it was a beautiful moment for you to realize you didn't just have to do shadow work and the healing work, which often I think perhaps because of our conditioning or whatever, we separate so much the spiritual and the material.
Mm-hmm.
We're so hell-bent on getting the material at the expense of the spiritual, or we get so lost in the spiritual, we forget how to translate it into the material. And what I love so much about you is that you are such a beautiful combination of those two things. You're a shamanic practitioner, a hugely successful coach. It's just the way that you bring these together is really, really, really magical to me. And so thank you so much for being here. And please feel free to add or shift any of my introduction of you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It feels really warm to hear it described that way, because that's where all the juice is, is in bringing things that feel very opposite together and just seeing how they get along.
And I love how you every time we talk, you just drop this little thing like, well, that's where all the juice is. You're bringing the opposites together and see how they get along. And it's just, it really speaks to that perspective that you hold about just this thing and this thing. They don't really fit. So what happens if we put them together?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's in such a, you say it with such an obvious, playful energy that when you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, duh. Like, why didn't I see it that way? And that's why I think a conversation about the impossible will be so fun with you.
Yeah.
If it's okay, can we start with I almost want to say defining the impossible, but what I think I'm really wanting to say is, why do we define impossible the way we do? Like, why do we experience something as impossible?
Yeah, what an awesome question. So for me, it's like I'm always experiencing things in terms of relationship, kind of like we were just talking about, like how they're interacting when we have this experience of two things being distinct. And I think a lot of times when we call something impossible, all we're really saying is I haven't done it yet, right? And then if we have a relationship with that thing that we haven't done yet, haven't experienced, whatever, if it feels like really, really outside of the known for us, then we're going to call it impossible, right? But there's another distinction that I like to make, especially when I'm working with clients, when we're talking about what they would love to create, what they really desire, I often will qualify it, like, is that what you really want, or is that what you think you can get? And oftentimes the thing that we really want is the same thing that we're calling impossible. But there's this other place that feels like, well, this is a little more palatable. This is not going to freak too many people out. And that seems more possible, more reasonable. So that's kind of what I see in that, is there's just that relationship piece where we maybe haven't granted ourselves access to that desire.
And why do we do that? What is the payoff for taking the palatable option instead of the thing we really want?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it looks a little bit differently for everybody, but oftentimes it comes down to our sense of whether or not we're going to be loved, you know, because and it comes up in all kinds of different ways, right? Like that somehow my desire or what I want to do, who I want to be, is going to piss somebody off. And then something will happen, right? I'll be found out to be a fraud, or I'll fail, or whatever. But it always boils down to this thing where we still feel separate from love. We think it's something that's going to come to us from the outside, and we're fighting for it, right? Rather than realizing, like, actually, this is what I am. Love is what I am. It comes from me. And like, for me, that's really what's at my core is, am I extending love and magic? As long as I'm doing that, I'm fine. So I don't know if that was like a very direct answer, but
no, I loved it. I'm reflecting as you're talking that, this has come up in every single conversation. So it's what I'm just seeing. And I don't know if I look kind of like I was zoning out for a second, but it was because I was really thinking, like, is there a difference between love and magic?
Yeah, well, and that I love that because in some ways, probably not, right? So the kind of working definition that I have for magic is that it's just the difference between how people think things work and how they actually are. And I mean, love feels a lot like that too, right? It pulls the wool back from over our eyes and helps us to open, or it is the opening, right? But I guess like when I sit with it and I'm cultivating my energy and being in my practice, if I just name love, it doesn't feel totally true. If I just name magic, it doesn't feel totally true. So they just go hand in hand for me.
I like that. If I just name love, it doesn't feel totally true. If I just name magic, it doesn't feel totally true. I think I can sort of feel in my body what you're talking about, but can you help me bring it up into my mind and talk a little bit more about like they complete each other, or tell me more about how you experience that?
Well, I mean, the first thing I'll say is, like, we're always working with mystery, right? So there's some level that our beautiful little brains are always going to want to just know and have things be clear and make sense. And there's always a level that it's not going to, right? And thank goodness. I wouldn't want a life without mystery. And I feel like I bump up against that when we start actually like peering into like, well, what is the nature of love? What is the nature of magic? So that's there. But like when I'm with that in my body, for me, love just sort of, it's like the void, right? Like that's the other language that I have for it. Or sometimes, I have a history in Vedic practice as well. So we would say the dark mother, right? Which has nothing to do with shadow work or negativity. It's just that energy that turns from nothing. And like, that's how love feels to me, if I could even try to apply words to it. And magic feels a lot more active. Magic feels like that little wink, like where all of a sudden you have a flash of intuition, or all of a sudden something happens that was outside of the scope of your present paradigm. So could you say that that's an expression of love? Absolutely. But they feel just a little more distinct, where love is like the everything and magic is like the little dance that's happening.
Thank you for slowing that down for me, because I really appreciate the distinction and how they complement each other. But I was thinking, you said something else in there that just like this word mystery. So
Yeah.
down mystery versus impossible, because
Ooh.
I'm thinking, okay, if something feels impossible, it's because we've decided all the parameters of it or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so can you share what, because kind of want to bring it back to this, like create the impossible through the impossible. How does mystery play into that?
Yeah. So again, like there's always going to be a context in which it's happening, right? So I think certainly not for everybody, but a lot of times when we're calling something impossible, we're basically saying you can't do that, or I can't do that, right? It can't be. And so mystery is everything that, like, if you go all the way to the edge of what you know about what can't be, the mystery is what's beyond that. Like it's a playful thing that I do with myself a lot, and also with my clients. Is like if they're getting stuck or hung up on something, it's like, you can just literally actually go all the way to the edge of what you know. Like just let yourself really, really go there, and then just go like a little bit beyond that. Right?
So when you go all the way to the edge of what can't be, mystery is what's beyond that. That just makes me like want to giggle. Like it's such a fun, playful place that I could also see myself resisting. So let's slow down for a minute on how to go to the edge, because you did this. So I can almost feel like there's a way to expand your energy to the edge. But
yeah.
how do you go to that edge?
Right. So, I mean, I would imagine there's a lot of ways, right? But specifically, I guess the way that I work with it, and when I take people through it, it's like you're really following. You could follow it energetically, and you can also really just like follow it all the way to the last thought, right? Because if you keep, whether you feel it as an expansion or a digging deeper, it's like, okay, and what's underneath that? And what's just beyond that? Like, what's the next thought? What is the frequency? And you, at some point, you will come to an edge, because we don't know everything.
If you're at that edge, I mean, I've been there myself, and I've been there with clients, and their edge is, I don't know. I just don't know. Perfect. There's this idea to like shut down because I don't know, right? That's a sign that you're at your edge first.
Is it a sign that you're at your edge?
Would you say that that's a sign that you're at your edge?
It might be. But oftentimes, there is actually like a knowing underneath that not knowing, right? Like there's a deeper question that hasn't been asked yet. And even like that we have a question is a form of knowing, right? Because like I know that there's this deeper yearning. But the more activated we are, or triggered or whatever, just like our nervous system is starting to get upregulated, it gets a little harder to access that. Doesn't mean that you can't. It's just like a different skill set. That makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And I just wanted to kind of slow that down for a second, because I know that I've been there with clients, and I've been there myself, where you just feel shut down. And so I love that you even just created clarity to say you're triggered, your nervous system is upregulated. So even just taking it one step beyond like shut down to, okay, you're experiencing something physiologically, and you mentioned that even just that there's a question signifies that there's a deeper knowing. There's a to go deeper.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's another piece of it, right? Is like, as humans, we're constantly making meaning. Like nothing has inherent meaning. That's just a perspective that I hold. It's actually like my very, very favorite quote from Shankara, like this super old yogi sage. He said, "All of life is waves of beauty and bliss, neither inauspicious nor meaningful." And it's just like this reminder, like the only meaning that exists is what we assign it. So for instance, like if we're feeling shut down, first of all, that is actually like a physiological experience that we're assigning a value to. Oh, when I feel this way, this means shut down. But usually there's at least a second arrow, right? Like, oh, I'm shutting down, that's bad, right? So I've got judgment. So when I'm sitting with clients, like that's a place where I just really want to be with them, right? And see if we hold and tend that space just by being with it without trying to even change it. Oftentimes it will start to give on its own, you know, because that shutting down, it's just saying like there's something happening here that hasn't been seen. Yeah.
I like that idea of the second arrow being present in a shutdown, because I hadn't thought of that, but I guess that often would be the case.
Yeah. I mean, what if shutting down was actually like really intelligent? You know, like I've had clients say, oh, I feel like I want to curl up into a little ball. And so I'm like, yeah, let's do that right now. Like go into as tight of a little ball as you can. And when they actually honor that, it really gives them something. It gives them something that they needed. And it always happens that at some point they just naturally feel inspired then to come out of that place. Right? So again, it's like the mystery is even in there, right? Like there's something that we don't necessarily understand that is working on our behalf, and we can move with it. So like my approach is never like, well, how do I get this person out of this shutdown place? You know, it's more like what's really trying to happen here? What's the thread that we can follow that is in honoring of what's happening, rather than trying to like fix it because we think it's bad.
Yeah. What I wrote down while you were talking was honor the impossible.
I love you.
I love you too. Because it's like every stage of this becomes, oh gosh, it's like what I'm starting to feel from you is this energy of like dancing with the impossible, whatever shows up. Like every kind of one of the things feels like, oh, that's hard. Oh, that's impossible. Oh, I can't see past it. Oh, I don't know the answer. And you just keep leaning in. You just keep coming closer.
Yeah. Yeah. And as anybody who's actually seen me dance can tell you, it really is a lot like that. Like the best thing I ever heard was like, people are like, wow, you know, when you dance, you can really tell that you're into it. You know, it's like, it's not like you're good or you have good moves or you're coordinated. It's like, yeah, you can tell like you're in it. Like,
I can relate to that. It reminds me, I was in a dance company in college, and I agree. I don't think I'm a very good dancer, but I really love to dance. And after a performance, someone said to me, I really can't take my eyes off you on stage. And I'm thinking like, cause I'm so good. And they're like, you're not always doing what everybody else is doing. I was like, you stop, that's okay.
Yeah.
So really being into it, whatever you're doing. Can we bring this into some practical moments in your clients' lives where it's like, this was impossible, and how you brought in this going to the edge, honoring the mystery, honoring the shutdown, following the energy, honoring the impossible? Because you've told me some pretty incredible stories, and you're welcome to share the same ones, or you're welcome to go somewhere totally different.
Yeah, well, you know, actually, like what's coming forward right now is something that one of my clients created. How's that feel?
I love it. Yeah.
Cool. So this client of mine is like, again, just such an incredible person. Like everybody that I work with is amazing. I feel so blessed that way. But she has a traditional architecture background, right? So she was actually an architecture professor. That was her whole world. But she also, over the past, I mean, I think like 5 years or so, has really become interested in this particular form of forest therapy, right? Where essentially you go out and with the support of a guide, it's like you meditate with the forest and you allow yourself to receive healing and support from it directly. So when she came to me, she was just like, this is impossible, right? Mm-hmm. Literally, because to her, this like hyper masculine world of architecture and this other very like feminine nature centric world of being in relationship with space and what's in it seemed totally mutually exclusive. Mm-hmm. And all she knew was that like she had been kind of trying to offer the nature therapy stuff in a particular way, but you know, I would say in some ways, again, it's like that fear of the power of it kind of thing, which has you devaluing it. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't really holding it in this elevated space yet. But meanwhile, she's like, I'm so over it with architecture. I don't want to take on any more architectural clients. I'm tired of it. So anyway, through our work together, you know, I really am interested in holding both of those pieces, that by deepening and bringing that presence and honoring to the inner journey, it instructs you in the outer nuts and bolts pieces of it, right? Like in my own self, my own business, and with my clients, we're creating from the inside out. Mm-hmm. Always, always. So it's quite different than how it's often happening out there, right? Where people are sort of like looking around at what other people are doing and then kind of like mimicking that, but putting their own touches on it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just going to look and feel and function much differently from something that came from your own heart. Mm. So the long and the short of it is there was this opportunity that we stepped into together in our work of like, what could it be to actually like give the nature therapy the dignity that it deserves, right? To really speak to the transformational power of it. And what if it wasn't separate? What if it wasn't actually separate from the architectural piece, but that they could come together? So she had to reconcile that inside of herself first, right? And there were lots of pieces that had to come together, but in the end, she created this amazing offering where she is taking people on a journey. It's like actually a 12-week journey of totally redefining their relationship with their space. Oftentimes actually remaking the physical space in different ways. But it's also inclusive of forming a relationship with the land that their home is on. So it's like this amazing journey that she takes people on, like nothing I've ever seen offered out there. And could it be more timely, right? When so many people are working from home, we're in the space of our homes more, and we're yearning for deeper intimacy and not just like a space that's utilitarian, but actually is like a spiritually nourishing space. So anyway, we created that. She really created it. I supported her in that. And, you know, she went from essentially having no business that involved the more spiritual nature-based aspects of her work to, you know, now I think she's created like 4 clients, and it's been less than 2 months. Wow. Yeah. And by the way, she is creating her clients in the same way, right? I'm also a really, really big proponent of that there's no right or wrong way to create clients, but it really has to come from within you. So she's not into social media. She's into like having it be like this really intimate, high touch invitation. And it's just landing with her people so well. So yeah. Yeah.
So I heard a couple really important things. Another element that I'm hearing emerge from this conversation is this idea of mutually exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
It's past what something feels impossible when it's like it's this or this. There's no way these things exist together. It's got, right? And that's part
Totally.
really masculine. How does it work? What are the pieces? Where do I put them? What's everybody else doing?
Mm-hmm.
Mentality. The other thing, again, you just drop these sentences like it blows my mind. You're like, just, oh, by the way, the fear of the power of something has you devalue it. That
Yeah.
you have to give it the dignity it deserved.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't mean to like jump in, but
No,
I feel
please,
really passionately about this. Like if you really look at our whole culture or like how we relate with things, what is the most powerful, right? It's the earth. The earth is where it all comes from. It's where our bodies come from. It's what we all share, no matter who we are or where we are. And it's the thing that we give like the least attention to for the most part.
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about the whole and how we live our days and what we're bringing attention to, what we're not. And I see the same thing. It's like children, right? So powerful and in such a powerful state, like part of their life. And, this is changing, I think, but we tend to not really value their experience in the same way that we value and validate adult experience. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just something that I see again and again, even like with our own physical pain. Mm-hmm. We're afraid of how powerful it is and what it might mean for us. And so we try to make it bad and make it go away rather than realizing, like, what if I partnered with the power of my pain to go deeper into the journey of my body or the journey of myself?
Well, that's even what I'm actually hearing as a kind of a thread that pulls through this whole entire conversation is it not even just, I mean, I'm hearing you 1,000% when you talk about honoring the dignity of nature, but also just what I'm also hearing is honor the dignity of the nature of things.
Yes.
Nature
yes.
of things, like why we think that you should be able to just like shut down an emotional experience or like completely reject the intuition to curl up into a ball or reject the feeling of pain that you're having. And every time we take this a little bit deeper, what I'm really hearing is that you're honoring nature, literally. You're honoring energy, which is a function of the world that we live in but pay very little attention to. And you're honoring just the nature of the unfolding of what's in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And that's like my favorite thing to do all the time. And even in my own challenges, like that's one of the most frequently asked questions to myself is like, what's really going on here? Like, what is it that I'm not seeing, not giving value to, that I'm sort of trying to sweep aside, oftentimes unconsciously,
Yeah.
Right? And that's, again, like that's usually where all the juice is. It's just in these little pieces that we want to not put in the center.
I love that you brought that up because what's been showing up when you're talking about creating the impossible with your client, which is a remarkable story. And I just want to ground that for a second in the place to resolve the mutually exclusive is inside, not outside.
It has to be. Yeah. I mean, and again, like this is just the paradigm that I live in, that everything that we experience outside is a reflection of what's within, right? This is like old school witch talk, right? As above, so below, as within, so without. So it works both ways, but it's just like more efficient, I guess, like not in an icky way, but like spiritually efficient way to work it from the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, so another way that I talk about it a lot is just leveraging your liability. Whatever it is that you think is the block or the two things that are mutually exclusive, like that's actually your leveraging point.
Leveraging your liability. Okay, we gotta dive into this. So
Yay!
This is all right. Buckle up, guys. We're gonna be here for a long time. So
5 hours later.
Yeah, right. Exactly. but this is perfect because I told you before, I love the conversation about creating the impossible, and I can see so clearly how you do that. What I think is so special and magical about you is creating the impossible through the impossible. And I think what you're talking about when you say leveraging your liability, what is the thing in the way? What's the limitation? What's the block? And correct me if this is not where you're going at, but this is what, when we spoke, I don't know, a week or so ago, and you were telling me about recreating your marriage and your business from this place of just like, oh my God. I mean, I have one kid. I love my husband, and it feels fucking impossible sometimes. Be in the space where you were recreating your marriage, like building up your business with a child. Can two children? Can we talk about how you leveraged your liability there to create such incredible internal and external experiences?
Yeah. I mean, so again, like a huge part of it is held in mystery. And part of why I keep coming back to that is I'm sure you've seen this too. There can be such an emphasis on like, I don't know how, right? I don't know how, therefore I can't.
So right? Can you set that in just to slow it down? Because we talked about that, but they don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What was, I want to go back to that, but what was happening like in your world that was feeling like, I don't know how, I can't?
Well, I mean, if we look at my marriage, basically like the point that you and I were talking about is we had already gotten divorced, right? And it wasn't going well. Surprise, surprise. Anybody else had that one? Like first few months after your divorce, a little rocky. But we were just both feeling how unsustainable it was. And one thing, I gave thanks for this at the time, I still do now, is we both were really, really sincerely interested in not like just minimizing the collateral damage for our kids as much as possible. We knew that it wasn't going to be like the divorce had an impact on them. That's just how it is, but we didn't want it to be horrible for them. So that was the point where I was at, is like, I didn't know how that would look. I didn't know at all how anything in my life was going to look at that point, actually. But I chose to let that go. And it was actually like another thing I think you and I have talked about is the role that decision plays, because that was definitely a moment where I decided like, okay, if I don't know, I must not need to. And again, it's like, because what else am I going to do? Like I can just like keep sitting on my ass and like not changing anything and have my family go down the tubes, or I could just decide like, all right, I don't know how, so I must not need to know how.
But like, even like that sentence is like, if I don't need to know, I must not need to know. Like that is an enlightened choice. And how does someone, like, it's a weird question. How do you make that choice? But it seems like the idea of making a decision continually comes up.
Yeah.
It also reminds me, though, of this other kind of half of it. Byron Katie says, you don't make a decision, like a decision is made. And is there a way to integrate in a moment like that where you've no idea what's ahead? You're feeling all these feelings of fear and worry and dread, and it's hard and it's impossible and I don't know how. Where do you access that decision from?
Yeah, what a great question. Again, mystery leads the way, because there's, in my experience at least, there's no formula, right? It doesn't work like that. But what is interesting about it is like this is where I deviate from a lot of people who put attention on manifestation and creation and things like that, because there's such a commitment to having like a high vibe, right? Like you've got to be in this state of gratitude and appreciation. I can tell you some of the most amazing things I've ever created were not created in that state. It was created in hell.
What a relief.
Well, it is, right? I mean, it's like, no, you don't have to maintain this like totally high maintenance state. For me, like a lot of it just boils down to presence. It's like, and that might be an oversimplification, but it's like letting yourself actually feel what's going on.
Yeah.
And you have to be present to be able to do that. So as long as I was in denial about whatever I thought was going to happen or whatever I wanted to happen in my co-parenting relationship, I couldn't create it.
Yeah.
But I just had to like feel all the things that I felt when I knew that he was feeding them macaroni and cheese for dinner every night, you know? And I'm like, you know, you need vegetables and you need to like chop things. And you know what I mean? Like at that time, I was just like, you must just hate me because you're feeding our kids macaroni and cheese. You know what I mean? But
the quote of the show.
Oh my God.
It reminds me of what you said earlier, though, that the difference between magic is the difference between how people think things work and how they actually are.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So magic and decision go together. And again, like, which one comes first? I don't know. They're probably two expressions of one thing, but like in that, there was a moment, and like, it's interesting because I can remember exactly where I was. Like, there's something about these kinds of decisions. They're in your body, right? I remember where I was. I remember that I was actually on the phone with him at the time, and just something in me was just like, enough. I was just like, I didn't even say it, but I was like, we are going to have the best co-parenting relationship on the earth. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it looks like. I don't care, but this is it. This is all I'm available for. But again, that wasn't like gratitude and joy and lightness. That was just like, I'm over it. I'm just over it.
You said something in one of our initial conversations that you said making a decision is a huge act of surrender. Yeah. That was like a vibrational recalibration in me, because a lot of times we want to make a decision from, I'm making this decision because I know how to fulfill it. And that's not at all what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, and it's really interesting too, right? I heard somebody say recently that no decisions are rational. And I was like, you are speaking my language, right? Because we think, right? And again, this is magic, right? We think the best decisions are thought through logically, and they're considering all the options. And again, I'm not here to criticize those decisions, but like, there can be a level at which we're doing all of that just to try to justify that deeper emotional pull, that deeper energetic pull, that deeper soul pull that already knows where it needs to go. You know, but it's like, are we going to resist or are we going to surrender?
And what I love too is that, like, I know that what unfolded for you next. Well, you tell what unfolded for you next. I don't want to tell your story. Tell us what unfolded for you next. Yeah.
So short story. Cause this was like over 4 years, basically. We did really work on our co-parenting relationship. We were both a yes to that. And it was good, you know, and anybody who's been in that space knows it's like, it's always relative, right? When you're saying good, but it was functional. It was mutually supportive. It was actually the first time we parented together, because while we were married, our parenting was not, wasn't a team, you know? So anyway, we both had relationships with other people. We both were working really hard on, you know, our own inner transformation as individuals. And then, on my end, that relationship that I had while we were divorced came to an end. And it was not my decision. And it just like opened something in me. I was so furious, not at that person, but I was furious because I saw the reason why it had ended was because I was accepting less from myself and from him. It was like half-assing, you know? I was like, why would I do that? Why would I do that? And I didn't go too far down that rabbit hole before I had another one of those moments of decision where I was like, look, this is it. I'm the queen of my life. That's it. Everything that happens here, it begins and ends with me. And I am a stand for that. And what I am ready for now is my king. That's it. So I just like, okay, universe, take it. You know, you just sort of like, whatever, do whatever you want. And then it was like less than 2 weeks later. And my ex-husband and I were on the phone talking about something to do with kids, like basic, right? Like, are you going to pick him up or da, 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 da. And then it was just like this lightning bolt in my body. And I was like, oh shit, it's him.
Can't even imagine that.
Oh my God, it's him. And so just like super awkwardly, because there was like this pause and, you know, I could tell he was kind of like, what's going on, you know? And I was like, I think I want to go on a date with you, you know? And he was like, I would like that too. And so, you know, there it went. And so from there, we did start dating and we reconnected and again, long story short, got back together. And now it's been, again, almost 4 years since we've been back together and a completely different relationship. Yeah.
I could listen to you tell that story over and over again. I love it. Every time I'm like, what happened next? And I know what happened next. But it's really beautiful. And I know that you also shared that later you also had another moment of decision where you said, like, I'm just going to create what I need to create through being present with my family and my husband. And it was another one of those decision moments. And you said, I went from feeling worry and guilt that it wasn't enough to just trusting that what I was doing had to be enough.
Yeah.
And another moment of, I'm making this decision because it just has to be. I have no idea how it's going to unfold. I have no idea what that looks like. And when you were telling this story and I was thinking of that story, what I wrote down is the impossible is the imPASSable. And what I mean when I say that is like, what I'm hearing you do is when something feels impossible, you like pass it off. You're like, I can't, or I don't know how, but I'm making the decision and I'm passing it off. Like I'm handing off the outcome. I'm re-engaging in the mystery. I'm giving this away. And it seems like there's something about that shifts you into a new energy of possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I think part of it for me is just like, maybe it's the most shamanic part of me that gets on some level that what I think things are isn't what they are. And so I can say no. You know, it's like I can take the perspective that everything that's going on with my family, because what you're mentioning is my husband was actually really ill for 6 months. And so I was like, well, there goes the business, you know. But that wasn't, I was like, no, because I had this vision of really bringing my business to the next level. And this was going to be the year to do that. And then he got sick. And so, yeah, it was like, okay, if I believe that my choices are choosing my family or my business, well, I don't like those set of choices. So I'm just going to be with it. I'm going to take it to my altar. I'm going to take it into my dreams until I experience it differently, you know? And I also just have to say, like, I really believe in getting a lot of support. Like I have a tremendous amount of help and support in my life. And I want to voice that because there's, at least for me, there is still this like kind of like lie that especially women are living in, that we should, like, the best thing we can do is do it on our own with no help whatsoever. Look at how busy I am, you know? And it, again, magic. It doesn't work that way. My life only gets better the more I keep looking for places where I can receive help, because I help others. Like, that's what I do, but it goes both ways, right? There's going to be a limit on how much I can serve if I'm not willing to be served. So sorry, that was a little bit of.
No, I loved it. I loved it. Here's what I loved about that. I love that you said, I can say no. Because what I think, if we just want to bring in a how to use the impossible to create the impossible.
Right. The practical.
No. You get to say no to this. And that's a decision too. Like, I think maybe just for me, but I think what I'm seeing this moment is a lot of times when I think about a decision, I'm often thinking about like something else, like what I want instead. And sometimes that's not available. What's available is not this. Not this and not this. I know what else, but not this.
Right. And for me, it's like recognizing that that's actually an inner decision, that the experience of having two mutually exclusive things is only in my perception. So it's actually my way of perceiving it that I'm saying no to. I'm like, okay, unconscious, okay, spirit, okay, ancestors, like, you got to give me something else because this doesn't work for me. Yeah.
That to me, that really grounds it. And I think it grounds us potentially even a great place to like end, but I'll give you an opportunity to just add one little trail on. This is so, I love these moments in these conversations because what you just said, I think, is perhaps one of the most important things, at least for me, which is I'm saying no to my own perception of experience. Impossible is an inner thing. Impossible is an inner thing. Mutually exclusive is an inner thing. Stuck is an inner thing, right? And so you were like, I'm saying no to my own unconscious, to my own perception, which creates something.
Exactly. And that no is an act of love.
Yeah.
Which is really important, because sometimes when we want to say no, we don't, because we think that we're not being loving. But it's really that deeper commitment, right? In order for me to have an amazing co-parenting relationship, I had to say no to how I was perceiving that relationship. And that was love.
And I guess my last question is, my sense is that when you make a statement and a decision like this from this place of love, something becomes available to you that wasn't before, that helps you execute. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's easy for me to say yes when I'm experiencing it in terms of energy, you know, because all of our perceptions, like another thing I say a lot is like, no beliefs are true. And none of the beliefs that I have are true. I don't have them because they're true. I have them because I believe they're working for me. Right. And so, of course, we're human, right? So we've got some beliefs that aren't working for us. And hopefully we discover that. But that it's an important distinction, because sometimes we have this idea that our beliefs are true, but they're just the paradigm that we're working with. And all of them come with a limitation. You know, it doesn't mean that they're bad. It's just the nature of beliefs. It's like the nature of a nose is to smell. The nature of a belief is it only goes so far. Yeah. So that got really tangential.
No, that's okay. That's perfect. I love it. Was a beautiful thing. Yeah. Where we were going around was that once you make a decision, something else becomes available.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, maybe even another way of saying it is just recognizing that what you're working with is a belief that's not just in your mind, but is in your body and in your field. right? It's a frequency that's with you, and you can say no to it. You can renegotiate. And when you do that, like when you create that movement, it elicits more energy, right? Like we have so much energy that is available to us, but it's in like a stuck or stagnant state. And you see all the different traditions talking about this, right? Like whether it's Kundalini or whether it's Hucha, it's potential energy that all it takes is us moving it across a threshold for it to be activated and available.
Potential energy that just needs us to move it across the threshold.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to end here with us because this is so good. There's another part of my brain that's like, I can hear, you know, the questions from the people in the world of like, yeah, but how and what happens next? And the reason why I kind of want to ground it here is because you've got to live it. You've got to do it. You've got to trust that other energy that carries you beyond the point. Because you could explain it a million times in a million words, but until you live that experience, and you make that choice and you feel that shift.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I mean, that's why I love working with people, because when we're in a space of holding circle or working one-on-one, you can actualize it, right? Because you're now looking at the specific content of a person's circumstance rather than having it just be sort of abstract. Like I love a good abstraction, don't get me wrong, but.
So along that line of working with people, how can people who are listening to this, who feel inspired and intrigued and want support, connect with you?
Yeah. So really the best way is to just send me an email, and it's just my name, which I think people can see here along the bottom. It's Juliet Trnka @gmail. Super old school.
Mm-hmm. Great. One thing I want to ground is they can just reach out and just hello, hi, I saw this and I wanted to reach out to you. Because I think one of the things that has people hesitate is, well, what do I say? How do I reach out? What if I don't know what's next? Can they just reach out and literally say, I saw this episode and I really resonated? Or do they have to have something in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to having dialogue with people who resonate with what I do. Where I'm at right now, I really am devoting a lot of my energy and attention to supporting healers and coaches in basically growing their business, right? So not so much in the launch phase, moving from nothing, but there comes a point in many people's businesses, maybe you felt this one, where again, there's like that belief structure that actually more success is going to equal less freedom. Right? Because it's going to be more of my time. I'm going to have to do more of things that I don't want to do, blah, blah, blah. And so that's a super interesting point for me to work with people. So that's a lot of what I'm doing right now. At the same time, I still work with one-on-one clients who are doing all kinds of things in the world. So if the energy's there, they can reach out, and I guess, dear listeners, you can say anything to me. I'm not going to judge you. Like, I'll just be so happy that we're connecting. So
yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Obviously, if this resonated with you, share it with somebody who is stuck in the impossible. And I love the idea. My favorite thing I think that I'm taking away from this conversation, there's so many, but the idea of mystery versus impossible. Mystery is almost like the cure for the impossible, and trusting this wisdom to make a different choice. So thank you so much for being for sharing your wisdom. It was
having me. Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. All right, everybody. Till next time.
Bye.